Hey everybody, welcome to TechMark Gaming. In today's video, I'm gonna be unboxing and doing a quick remote play test with the iPhone 16 Pro Max using a newer USB-C backbone controller. I'm gonna also be comparing this with my older iPhone XS Max and a Lightning backbone controller. Now before I get into the video, be sure to smash that like button and comment below and tell me what you guys are playing on the PS5 or your other remote play devices, and subscribe to TechMark Gaming if you haven't already so I can be recommended to more gamers like yourself. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get into it. If you want to know what comes inside the box, then I got you. So as you guys can see, I have the 1TB iPhone 16 Pro Max in my hand, and this is a really solid designed box. And if you turn it around, you'll see a tab at the top. You're going to pull this and tear it. Once done, we're going to turn the box back around and we're going to pull up the top half. And as you guys can see, we're now gridded with a white titanium iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I actually love that they had a cutout for the cameras just so it won't get damaged in the shipping process. Now before we take a look at the iPhone, we're going to see what else is inside the box. To my surprise, it comes with a white braided USB-C cable. This is C to C, so it looks like Apple is moving away from the A connectors, which is a good sign in my opinion. Taking a deeper dive into the box, you can see that we have a pamphlet that says iPhone, which is most likely a quick start guide, and it has some warranty details at the back. Now, if we take a deeper dive into the box, you can see that there is nothing else in here. So there's no stickers, there's no charging brick, no headphones or anything. So I'm guessing Apple is just, making us pay for everything. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the white titanium iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now for my first impressions with just picking up this device, it's really cool to the touch, it's light in the hands, and the edges aren't so sharp compared to my iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is my daily driver, and the iPhone XS Max being my secondary. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the screen protector. And as you guys can see, we have a 6.9 inch Super Retina XDR display, which is going to output the craziest colors. So I'm really excited to show you guys how this performs with the RemotePlay app. Now, when we compare the iPhone XS Max design with the newer iPhone 16 Pro Max, you can see that there is a glass back compared to the frosted glass. And for the cameras, there's no comparison, man. And if we put them side by side, you can see that the iPhone XS Max is just a little bit more shinier. This has a different material compared to the newer iPhone. Now, this is my first time seeing the action button, but this looks really cohesive with the volume buttons. And if we take a look at the bottom, you have your speaker grills and a USB-C charging port. There's a new camera control button, which is going to allow you to take videos and pictures real quick. And you have your typical sleep and wake button. All three cameras are also improved. I'm not going to go too deep into that because I am no photographer, but as you guys can see, this is a really solid design. Now before I get into the gameplay test, I want to show you guys what gaming accessories that I'm going to be using with these two devices. For the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I'm going to be using the USB-C backbone controller. If you guys are familiar with this, then you will know that this looks exactly like the Lightning model. The only difference is that you can actually use a case on your phone. So we'll go ahead and put on a case just to see how this fits. But before I do that, I want to show you guys that you have to take off all of the attachments. They're all magnetic. You're just going to pull these off just so you can have some room for the Pro Max version. I'm gonna put that to the side and I'm gonna grab my iPhone case that I ordered from Amazon. This is a really solid case. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my iPhone 16 Pro Max inside the case. And then all I have to do is attach the backbone controller just like so. And honestly, I'm actually surprised by how well this controller fits with a case on the iPhone. This is one of my first time experiencing this, and this looks really cohesive. And the crazy part about it is that this case is super thick because it has a kickstand built in where the camera modules are located. Now for the iPhone XS Max, I'm gonna be using the Lightning backbone controller. Now I've been owning this for about 3 years now, and I haven't had any problems with the buttons or the analog sticks. So I'm really excited to show you guys exactly how this performs next to the newer backbone controller on the newer iPhone 16 Pro Max. Before you install this, you want to insert this attachment, which is going to protect your cameras from getting scratched and is going to have a little bit more support. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get my iPhone XS Max and put this inside of the backbone controller. Now, I don't have a case on this older iPhone, and I just want to do a quick little stability test. And as you guys can see, the phone is still secure, but it has a little bit of movement. Now, if I take a look at the newer backbone controller with my iPhone 16 Pro Max, there isn't much movement, and this is a good thing in my opinion. Now, if we compare both controllers side by side, there isn't much of a difference. As you guys can see, we have a Lightning port and we have a USB-C port. And if we take a look at the other side, we have two headphone jacks if you want to plug in some headphones. But other than that, the button layout and the analog sticks are all the same. Now, since we're going to be using RemotePlay with the PS5, then I highly recommend that you guys have some type of range extender or mesh nodes around the house so it can boost the signal, especially if you can't have your PS5 hardwired to your router. If you guys want to know more about this, then I'll leave a card in the top right corner of this video explaining my whole internet setup and how I get the best performances at home and outside. Now, I'm going to do a gameplay test on the iPhone 16 Pro Max first, just because I want to see how the performance is compared to my older iPhone. And the best part about this newer iPhone is that it has Wi-Fi 7. So in theory, things should run a lot more smoother as far as streaming goes. And for my first impressions, just scrolling through the PS5's home screen, this is running pretty solid. I don't have any weird input delays, not like I have it on my other devices just because my internet connection is set up pretty well. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and use Spiral as an example so you guys can see how the streaming experience is using RemotePlay. As you guys can see from the footage, everything played pretty well. I don't have any complaints. I necessarily don't see any micro stuttering or lags, so that's a good thing in my opinion. With that being said, I'm gonna be playing 2K23 next, just because this is still one of my favorite basketball games. I like to run around the city, and I like to play my player.
So the Utah Jazz able to put the first points up on the board. Here's Thompson, and the rejection by Collins. Three-pointer, Wiggins gets off with the rebound. Sexton the pass to George. Now Markkanen. Passes it to Sexton. Markkanen against Wiggins, and it's blocked. And go to another level. Utah leading. Sexton with it. Shot from the low block. He's off on that one. Good D by Thompson. Warriors shooting well off their usual numbers, around 29% so far. And there's another turnover by the Warriors. And former NBA big man David West in attendance. He won a couple rings here with Golden State.
And he'd been an all-star in New Orleans, a cornerstone piece for the Pacers. But he sacrificed a lot to come to the Warriors and win it all.
And although he's undersized at his position, his vertical, yeah, that'll clean up a few mistakes.
Now I'm going to get my iPhone XS Max and see how this performs. During the connection test, I did notice that the iPhone XS Max did take a little bit more time to connect to the PS5, but honestly, this connected pretty fast too. And just scrolling through the home screen, I did notice that there was a tad bit more micro stuttering, but honestly, you don't really notice it, especially if you're not looking at it too closely. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and test out Spider-Man for you guys. This is still one of my favorite games to play, so let's go ahead and take a look. Now, I gotta be honest, to have a 7-year-old device performing as well is actually mind-blowing to me, just because, you know, having an older Wi-Fi chip, you expect the experience to be a little bit more choppy when it comes down to streaming, but that's far from the truth, and the backbone actually supports the iPhone to make it feel like an actual gaming controller. So if you still have a Lightning device, it feels the exact same way as the USB-C model. Now, when I went back to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I noticed that the display was a lot more brighter and wider. And for the speakers, man, this is a night and day difference in my opinion. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys see the gameplay and take a listen for yourselves.
Allied destroyer joining squadron, deploying Helldiver. Requesting sentry.
Support weapon inbound.
Bug outpost spotted. Prepare to exterminate. Sending in an eagle. Reload. Injury? What injury? Mag's empty. My leg! Freedom never sleeps! Mag's empty! Tactical asset near your location. Throwing grenade! Fire in the hole!
As you guys can see, the gameplay is pretty solid. One thing that I did have a trip up with is the touchpad. So for some odd reason, the touchpad was not working. I'm not sure if it was me just long pressing or not pressing in the right area, but I tried to chat with my teammates and it was a disaster. So maybe the PlayStation RemotePlay app needs to update, or I could be spoiled by the PlayStation Portal's touchpad system. Either way, the backbone in the iPhone 16 is still a solid device to game on the go with. If you don't have a PlayStation Portal or anything like that, you can still get some gaming done. You just don't have access to the haptic triggers or the vibrations. If you found this video valuable, be sure to smash that like button and comment below and tell me what games you're playing on the PS5 or RemotePlay devices, and subscribe to TechMark Gaming so I can be recommended to more gamers like yourself. In the meantime, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Deuces.